What is up, guys, and welcome to this edition of the Positionless Pod. I'm your host, Kai Gamage, and I'm joined, as per usual, by the most young, bright, positionless minds in the basketball media landscape today. I've got Aaron Matthew and Diego San Agustin with me. Michael Anthony Cruz, still in the Philippines. He's supposed to join us for this episode. These are the all-important preseason episodes, and he's still not here. But you know what? We make do, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. Having a good night. How are you?
You know what? No one's ever asked me how I'm doing. That's sweet.
Yeah, I felt like I needed to this time.
I appreciate that, man. I'm good. I'm okay.
Yeah. How was your day?
It was okay. I mean, I had an extra large coffee from Tim's at 3 because I thought that's what we were gonna record, and I'm still kind of on that high for some reason.
Good. We need that.
Do we? I don't know. I feel like I'm talking pretty fast. Actually, you know what? Today we're actually gonna need me to talk pretty fast.
Are you on the coffee high or the Leafs high?
Oh, I mean, wait up. What's the score now? Don't tell me. Oh, buddy. Oh no, they're in the shootout right now. It's hard to be that excited about the Leafs, you know. It's hard to be excited about the Leafs. Come on, man. Yo, you know what?
This can't be real. No.
You know what the Leafs bring out of me, man. But yeah, it's hard to be excited about a team that's going to a freaking shootout. The first game of the season against some bum Habs team. Let's be for real here. Sorry, I'm just talking. But yeah, 5-5, Samsonov, buddy. What are you doing? Come on, man.
Okay, my bad for asking. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
Now we know for future reference.
Well, sorry. I'm passionate about puck now. Leafs forever, baby.
Average Toronto sports fan, man.
Oh man, I need something to get my mind off the Jays.
Understandable.
I'm just kidding. You know what's going to get my mind off the Jays? These Eastern Conference previews. It's going to be an exciting episode. Our second annual conference previews are starting right now. I'm pretty hyped. You guys excited?
Yeah, we're so gassed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah. But yeah, so the way this is going to work is we're going to go through the entirety of the Eastern Conference. We'll probably, I'll set a timer. We'll spend 5 minutes max per team. We've already picked out which teams we're going to talk about. For some reason, I've just managed to get all the teams that I actually like and want to talk about. So I don't know. It was randomized, but it works.
Some reason he says
it works out in interesting ways. But yeah, we'll spend about 5 minutes per team. Each of us will give a little presentation about what this team is coming into the season, the acquisitions, the losses, where they stand, and then we'll riff on it for a bit. We'll talk about every single team in the Eastern Conference for your entertainment and for your knowledge. I guess you're welcome. But. Yeah, is there any news? Is there any news we have to hit on before we get into this? Oh, Kai Jones.
Hey! I'm gonna talk about that.
You want to talk? Oh, okay. All right. Well, true. We'll leave it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it for the preview.
Eastern Conference stuff.
Of course.
No.
Of course.
Yeah, Kai Jones has to be in the conversation here.
Oh, the all important Eastern.
The Charlotte Hornets actually have 2 stories right now.
Oh, no spoilers, bro. No spoilers, bro.
All right, let's relax. Let's slow down a bit.
Yeah, I guess let's just get into it because I'm eager now that you're talking about it, man. I really want to know what these
I'm ecstatic.
What these big stories.
Yeah, you know what it is.
I'm amped. Let's get into it. We good to go?
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go alphabetically. So starting from the top, we've got the Atlanta Hawks and Diego. I think that's you up to bat, yeah?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get it.
So Atlanta, it's been a lot of years of disappointment, really. Ever since they made the Eastern Conference Finals back in 2021, they've just always fallen short. And I think at this point, I'm starting to question whether Trae Young can really be the number one guy on a championship team. I mean, yeah. To start off, we basically have Trae Young last season dipping in his numbers. He averaged only 42.9% from the field, and he shot 33% from deep. So his numbers were definitely lower compared to the previous season, where where he shot 46% from the field. You know, and then Dejounte Murray, who was supposed to fix their defensive issues from 2022, wasn't really able to solve all of their defensive problems last year. Right, defensively they were still struggling. So that backcourt, I mean that duo, it's gonna be their second year together, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it could really work, especially given the pieces that they have around them. But I think one of the bright spots that they had last season was Okongwu. So Onyeka Okongwu filled in for Clint Capella because Clint Capella was injured for a majority of the season. He stepped up big time, and I had him in a my fantasy team last year. So yeah, his production was very good, and I think we're expected to see him take another big leap this year, especially with the loss of John Collins. And they also have Quinn Snyder as the head coach now in replacement of Nate McMillan. So honestly, the Hawks, I don't know. I don't really know what direction they're heading towards. They're kind of in the middle of the Eastern Conference, and I just don't think they can really compete with the top dogs of these.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think that like they have decent pieces, right? Like, I mean, they've got Trey Young, who I still think is probably a top 5 point guard in the league, just on skill alone, on
Yeah,
his ability to
and
run an
that's the thing.
offense.
Like Trey Young is such an incredible offensive talent,
Yeah,
but of course defensively he is a liability. I mean, it doesn't matter as much, but at the same time, you really need good pieces to surround Trey Young if you want Trey Young
yeah.
to be, on a championship contender.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that DeJounte Murray's that, right? Like they signed him to an extension, DeJounte, this offseason, which I think that like I understand why you had to do it. He was gonna expire this year. They could have maybe included him in a trade to maybe get a star that fit more around Trey Young, but they spent so much draft capital getting DeJounte in the first place that you might as well see this out. But I'm still not convinced by that fit. It just feels like if there were two balls on the court at the same time, then yeah, they'd be the best team in the league. But
Yeah,
it's like we're talking about 2 point guards who dominate with the ball in their hands, who dominate through the pick and roll more than anything else. And I just don't see the how you make those two really work
and that's
together.
the thing. We kind of thought that getting Murray would kind of fix some of their defensive issues and give them kind of an identity on that end,
Yeah.
but it just didn't pan out. And offensively, they still resorted to the same old isolation plays. The offense was really stagnant, which is basically what we've seen from the Hawks year
Mhm.
after year after year.
Yeah.
So that
I,
hasn't changed either.
I do like that like this is going to be a full year of Quinn Snyder, right? Like that is necessary to like properly judge them. And I
Yeah,
mean, I've always looked at Quinn Snyder as one of the best coaches in the NBA, right? Like
yeah.
what he did with the Jazz was incredible. I think that he's an incredible defensive mind, and if you can get the most out of him, and if they take steps, if we see steps from guys like AJ Griffin, if Kobe Buffkin pans out to be like a solid bench player for them, I think that there is like a higher ceiling for this team than where they finished last year. Where'd they finish? Well, I mean,
Oh, they finished seventh.
yeah, right. So I think that they could do better than that in like a somewhat middling East, but they're not contenders. I think that they have the pieces to maybe trade for a star to become contenders, but they're not there yet.
Yeah, and just like to quickly harp on the Quinn Snyder bit, I agree with you. He's one of the better coaches in the league, which is why it kind of sucks that they gave him a worse roster. Like they lost John Collins for what? Like this guy was he had so much chemistry with Trey Young a couple of years ago. Looked like a solid player alongside him, and then he just falls off, gets traded for nothing, and now they didn't even like try to get somebody else. Like they're expecting Okongwu to make the step, which is great. I think he's a really good player, but they didn't do anything to strengthen the team. and they're just relying on players to make the jump, which is why I think they'll stay a middling team.
It's Jalen Johnson time. Watch out. That's my making the
Okay.
jump candidate. All right. On to the next team. Okay. Boston Celtics. This is me, I believe it is. All right, let's get
Yeah.
it. Here, wait up. I'll start the timer. 5 minutes. Okay. So, Boston. This is one of two teams that are, I think, the favorite, obviously, to win the championship this year. The East is two teams, and then it's everybody else. And Boston, as they've been in a lot of years past, are one of them. But this year, I think that a lot of people are labeling it as like make or break, like championship or bust, but it's not, right? This is a team that has a window that I think that they've cranked open for a couple years to come, right? They've got the depth, they've got the youth from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They've got them inked to good contracts. Sure, they've got Drew Holiday, who they just acquired. Obviously, we'll get into that in a second. They've got Drew Holiday on a player option next season, but they clearly intend to re-sign him. Kristaps Porzingis was re-signed to a contract. This is a team that doesn't need to look at the season as championship or bust. They're there to win this year. There's no doubt about it, right? Like, I think they'll still be pissed if they don't at least make the finals. But this is a team that has a legitimate path to contention for a couple years now. I'm not too worried about the loss of Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not too worried about like this loss of depth with like Robert Williams, because I think that they found pieces within their team to kind of fix that. And I think that they're happy with what they have on the rest of their roster. We saw them give Peyton Pritchard a big extension, who has been absolutely balling out so far in preseason. They clearly like what Sam Hauser brings. He's getting a lot of touches. He's starting at the 3 for them in these preseason games. O'Shea Brissett, I think, is a solid positionless piece for them on the wing. I'm not too worried about their depth. I think that was the big concern when they traded away multiple pieces for KP and Drew Holiday. But I think they're solid. I think that they've got a rotation that they're happy with. I think that they've got star power out the out of this world, right? They've got Jason Tatum, who's like a top 6 probably player in the league if you on most days. This team is poised to win a ring right now and for years to come. And if Joe Mazzulla isn't that guy, they loaded up the bench with a ton of assistants that could step in should he need to be out. So I don't know. It's the Celtics. We know how good they are. We've talked about how good they are in the past. But it's not championship or bust to me.
Okay. I disagree. I think it's championship or bust because the window that you mentioned for next year Al Horford's going to be 38. He's not LeBron. He's not surviving at 38. Next year Drew Holiday is going to be 34, 35. He's already waning on the offensive end, and I know that not much is expected of him as the third or the fourth option, but he's still going to be one of the key ball handlers because clearly Jalen Brown still cannot do that. So I think there is still a lot of pressure because two of their main 6 guys are like that old. So I definitely think they have to go all in this year, and they will. I Like you said, they will. But at the same time, I am concerned about their rotation. They have probably the best 8-man lineup, but for the regular season you still need like some depth beyond that. Like, injuries happen, of course, so in that case they have Delano Banton to rely on, O'Shea Brissett. Like, shout out the Canadian boys, but come on, that's not a serious backup. So I am concerned about their depth as well. But again, come playoffs, this is the team to beat.
Yeah, that's all that matters, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they'll probably still finish top 2 in the East in the regular season, but that's not even what matters.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for them to actually get the championship because they've already been so close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard. It's hard to picture them not being in that picture, right? Like it's absurd how good they are. And like, yo, please keep sleeping on Delano Banton, okay? Like, please. He wasn't good in
Uh,
Toronto because we just didn't have the right coaching staff around him. But now with Joey Maz and Sam
To
Cassell,
be honest, I never did. I never really slept on the Atlanta
yeah, there's not much to sleep on. He's not great.
the idea of Delano Banton is great. Like a 6'7" point guard with good athleticism, good, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has the same issues that Jalen Brown has, being unable to dribble and not turn the ball over, but a little bit worse. And yeah, but it's cool. Jalen Brown clearly working on his left hand. Shout out
No.
to Boston social media for posting
No.
that. All right. Next team. What else? What we got now? Brooklyn. Aaron, you're up, buddy.
Okay. Um, I think this is the team that I'm honestly most excited to watch after my Lakers this season. So they had a big move in the during trade deadline last year. They got Mikhail Bridges, shipped out KD, marking a whole new era. But no, they still have to go all in because their upcoming year pick is with Houston, which is why they solidified their roster, added guys like Dennis Smith Jr., Lonnie Walker, solid role playing guys. They needed that depth after losing guys like Patty Mills, Joe Harris, and I think they did a great job of bringing in those guys. I like their draft picks too, Derek Whitehead. I think he's a solid project, and the Nets have the ability and the roster right now to keep him as a project for now. And I am so hopeful about a Ben Simmons resurgence season. I think he's going to be the reason why the Nets will be in the playoffs next season, despite them looking uh not too great with Mikael Bridges in charge. They were like 12 and 15 with him. But I think that's going to change. I think they'll be a .500 team for sure. And the whole concern about Ben Simmons and Claxton not being able to play together is to me. I'm sorry. Ben Simmons is one of the better playmakers in the East, at least. And you add elite shooters like Mikael Bridges, Cam Johnson, and they have a bunch off the bench too. So take your pick. And then you add a guy like Nick Claxton, who was in the DPOI conversations, and then Mikael Bridges was also in the DPOI conversations. That's an insane lineup. So I don't care if two guys cannot space the floor because they're great defensively. And when they keep winning the ball back, sure, they can live without without having spacing from two guys because they still have three other guys to provide that elite spacing. So this is going to be a fun team to watch, and yeah, definitely making the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, Ben, I guess I got my swagger back, Simmons. Oh my gosh, bro. Yo, chirping LeBron James after taking him hard to the hoop. Ben Simmons is so back, and I think the happiest I've ever been is that I predicted it on my bold predictions, and like I'm rolling with him all year long. That's my guy. Are you kidding me? He's
That's
so
our
back.
guy. That's our guy.
That's our guy. Look, the issue has always just been confidence, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously the physical attributes are still there. And like, oh, you can say the issue is obviously the issue is also his jump shot. It's still dog. Um, but if he's got his confidence, if he's taking it to the rack, if he's kicking it out, if he's finding shooters, and again, like you said, Aaron, like there's so many of them. Like yeah, they lost Patty Mills and like Joe Harris. Like dude, they've still got Dorian Finney-Smith. They still got Royce O'Neal. They've got great depth pieces. And again, like it's such a strong defensive team. The vibes are back, man. If as long as we're seeing like a 2019 Brooklyn Nets type of vibes team, like I'm here for it.
And
I
the
think we can
fact
get
that
that.
they still have a 20, almost 20 million trade exception, which I'm sure they'll be eager to cash in because they have to go all in because they owe the pick. So they could potentially get even stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because they have young guys who just have something, who have a lot to prove, basically, especially now that they have Mikal and they have Cam Johnson, and Ben Simmons is also looking to bounce back. They're gonna come back hungry, and I think that it's, as you said, like kind of like the 2019 Brooklyn Nets. I feel like it's gonna be the same kind of vibes we're gonna get this year.
Yeah. Cam Thomas is your new D'Lo.
Yeah,
My gosh, dude, Cam Thomas
Stop.
in
bro.
that preseason game against the Lakers was insane.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to watch 40-point games from him in losses. He's so electric, dude.
At least it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, no, I mean Nets. I think they'll be interesting. They're plucky. They'll fight.
Yeah, and I think like their wing depth is one of the best in the East, I would say. Like Bridges, Johnson, Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets. What is there to say about this team? They were last year. They were 14th seed with a 27-15 record, and recently they've been surrounded by a lot of news. MJ stepping down as the owner, drafting Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson, which a lot of NBA fans questioned. Um, yeah, and Brandon Miller also thinks Paul George is the GOAT, so that's another thing that had fans kind of confused. But basically, they're still on the Lamelo show, right? He's still gonna provide entertainment for this team. It's still gonna be fun to watch, but obviously, Lamelo alone isn't gonna really win you games. He's gonna sell tickets, but he's not gonna win you games just by himself. So they do need a lot more than that, and they're hoping Brandon Miller could be just that. And people were also hoping, or not really, that Miles Bridges would come back. But that's another thing. Earlier today, Miles Bridges, who we thought was gonna come back, is now facing an arrest warrant. So that that might be in question yet again. And another headline was Kai Jones, who the self-proclaimed GOAT, Kai Jones, has requested a trade from the Charlotte Hornets. What does this mean for the Hornets? I'm asking you guys, what does this mean for the Hornets?
Well, they responded to his trade request. They waived him, and he waved back too because he sent out another stupid tweet saying, "I used to pray for times like this." Hashtag goat life. So I don't know what's going on. See, okay, I I nobody's gonna disagree that Kai Jones was acting up, but I think the team should have tried to help him instead of just like discard him, and that just speaks volumes about how the organization's been for the longest time. They don't care about their players. Like they let Kemba go, and everybody said yes, that was a great decision that allowed them to like tank further and get Lamelo. Sure, but like he was your only relevant player for the longest time, and you don't take care of that. I I don't get it, and that's why like that's why they're not going to be a good team because even when they hit gold with picks like Lamelo who magically fall to them, they don't make the most out of it. They bring back guys like Miles Bridges who now has an arrest warrant out for him. I This team's a mess and it just keeps getting worse, it seems. I don't see how they're going to excel on the basketball side for the
Yeah,
foreseeable future.
really, the only thing you can really look forward to is, I guess, Lamelo and PJ Washington, who, I mean, PJ Washington just signed a three year extension, right? And he's kind of upside, the next guy with upside that they have besides Miles Bridges.
Bro said Brandon Miller said that PG is my goat, and you're already dismissing him, eh?
Damn, I actually, actually just forgot. Yeah, Brandon Miller, and PJ Washington. Yeah,
Yeah, look, I think that the success of this team will entirely hinge upon whether Brandon Miller actually deserves to be the second pick or not. Um, Everybody crapped on them when they picked it. Everybody thought that, look, you have to take Scoot Henderson here. He's clearly the second best player in the draft. But there were obviously weird concerns, I think, that misled concerns, genuinely, that he and LaMelo Ball wouldn't be able to share a backcourt properly. I don't believe that. I think that, look, they can easily do it. I think that Scoot makes up for the downsides that LaMelo brings. I think that they'd be still one of the most electric teams in the full court, but we're not going to get that. Instead, we're going to get Brandon Miller, who, dude, you if he doesn't hit, if he's a bust, and historically, in, like, we've seen so many times in like past draft classes where one of the either first or second pick just is a complete and utter bust. And if it's Brandon Miller in this case, they're going to be crapped on for this decision for ages, as they've been crapped on in the past for being a shoddy organization that doesn't know how to maximize talent. They're going to get demolished on this. So they better pray that Brandon Miller hits. Next up, Chi-Town. God. How about Chicago, man? How many more years do we have to suffer through this team not blowing it up? Buddy, stop trying to make it happen. It's not gonna happen. I promise you. This team's going nowhere. You re-sign Vooch for what? You think you're contending this year? For what, bro? Max you'll get is the play-in. You're not going anywhere with this core. It was a great idea. It worked out in the first 4 months that you paired up your big three of DeBalzac. Okay. And after that, it's just been garbage. Because, I mean, obviously, look, Lonzo's been injured, right? That's the ultimate outlier. But you have 1 year left with DeMar DeRozan, right? This is he's on an expiring contract. You better hope he resigns and hope that like maybe Lonzo comes back and is functional. But like, just how many years are we going to have to suffer through this team not actually blowing it up? They're completely indecisive. When I get mad at the Raptors for not being able to pick a path, look, at least we have somewhat of like a good young player in Scotty Barnes that we can look towards. The Chicago, man, like, what are you guys doing? Like, you could get a great return for somebody like DeMar DeRozan right now. You could probably get a solid return for like Nikola Vucevic, but they consistently have decided to not blow it up. Look, they could be such a good defensive team with Lonzo, Caruso, Patrick Williams. Hasn't worked. Lonzo's just consistently injured. We don't know when we're going to see him play. Hopefully he comes back next season. Hopefully his knee is just better. But I don't know. I keep looking at this team and like the same delusions that the Raptors have towards what their roster is plagues the Bulls in a way that I think maybe one ups the Raptors. I just give it up.
Did you guys see when DeMar called out Bulls fans who wanted a rebuild? He's like, yeah, those guys don't understand basketball. And this is the classic, oh, you don't play, you don't get to talk, which which works in some instances. And I'm not saying I know more than DeMar, but I think a lot of people can see that this team is going nowhere and they're just hoping for that ceiling where they saw that the team achieved the number one seed when everybody was healthy. But how often did you even get that? Like, Lonzo's been injured since then. There's doubts about if he's going to play again, and without him spearheading your defense, you just look lost as a team. The East just got better, at least at the top, so that further diminishes your chances to win a title. I think just give it up, bro. This is like LeBron and KD with their hairlines. Just give it up.
Yeah. throw out any idea of them winning a title. There's no singular move that they can make that will push them into that category. They're not there. They haven't been there. They never were. Like
Yeah,
even with
even
Lonzo,
with a healthy Lonzo, they're not
I don't
winning.
yeah, I don't care. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, you had first seed in the regular season, but that's not a playoff team in any way, shape, or form. Are you kidding me? Like, they've never been a contender. I don't care how like solid that big three or whatever was in those 4 months that they were good. They've never been a contender, and I don't know when they're gonna figure that out. I hope it's
Yeah,
this year. Trade Demar, please.
I think this is gonna be their last year together. Anyways, I
I
mean,
pray, but then
hopefully they trade Demar in the middle of the season.
yeah,
But I feel like if it does last a full year, at least this is gonna be the last year together.
yeah, it has to be.
trade him to the Nets. They have that trade exception.
Low key, that'd be sick.
Uh, Vibes guy added to a Vibes team.
Yeah. I'm here for it. All right. Next up, what do we got? We have Cleveland. Cleveland. All right, go ahead, man. Sorry. We can cut
It's
that.
okay. Okay. So we've talked about it enough about how the East is two teams and the rest. Cleveland's the best of the rest. I think this is the team that finished as the best defense in the league with a couple of holes in their team, especially their wing depth, their shooting, and their like backup big position, which was Robin Lopez. They addressed everything. They brought in shooters. They brought in Max Strus. They brought in George Niang, and I'll tell you why the George Niang edition is great, because I saw this stat by StatMuse where they were listing out most wins uh, in decades. For 2020s, it's George Niang. That's who he is, a winning player, and that's what the Cavs have added this year. I think that's a solid addition. Like, jokes aside, he can shoot, he can defend, and they just needed a role player there to fill in with what is super, okay, not a super, like a star core with Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and then Allen, who's also a great guy. So you have somebody who just fills in that fifth position and can do a great job. I think they would be silly to expect that they can come out of the East, but they'd be massively underperforming if they don't go at least 6 games in the conference semifinals. I think that should be the least that they're aiming for. I don't think Donovan Mitchell should be expecting more. And if he is, he needs to start by stepping up himself in the playoffs. And uh, there's no complaints about this team. I think this is like a really well run team. I think their coaching could be something that they could potentially address maybe next season or halfway through if they get sick of uh, what's his name again,
JB Bickerstaff.
JB Bickerstaff. Yeah, so aside from their coaching, I don't have any concerns about this team.
I think they could use a little bit more depth. I think that that's kind of where my big point of concern does come from. But obviously, like we said with the Celtics, um, rotations tighten up in the playoffs. It won't matter if you can go 10 deep. Like you're basically going 8 deep all the time. And I think that they've got 8 players that can function like that. I like the addition of Max Strus, but what concerns me with someone like Max Strus, like you're paying him a lot, and we've seen so many times players from organizations like the Spurs and the Heat go to different situations, go to different teams, and suddenly become garbage. So you have to hope that Max Strus isn't just another version of that. And you're right. And you're right. I like the Niang signing. I don't know about calling him a winning player. I don't think I can call anybody from the Philadelphia 76ers organization a winning player, all
Man,
things considered. Um, but no, I mean, like they're steady. I think that they could, if Amoni Bates takes off, like we saw in summer league. If he can be like a solid bench contributor for them, I think that'll be huge. But yeah, I think this is a team that has championship aspirations. They're not there, but they're young, right? Like this is a team that last year was still ahead of schedule. This year, with the addition of Donovan Mitchell, like you should be starting to contend now. But I think that they understand that this isn't a team that can beat the Bucks or the Celtics. Look, as long as you can beat the Knicks.
Yeah. And the best part is they still have most of this roster for next season. So, like, as long as they show that they can go almost all the way, I think they can definitely go over that hump next year.
I mean,
Yeah.
as long as they're good enough to somehow keep Donovan Mitchell,
Mhm.
I feel like that would be the biggest thing for them.
Yeah.
So they just have to be good enough to keep him, and I think they'll be fine. Because if you grow like the same, if you keep the same young core that they have right now with DG, Mobley, and you keep Donovan Mitchell with that group, like they're gonna be fine.
Yeah. No, they're solid. Like I'd maybe look at like trading Jared Allen. Just let Mobley play the five. Like dreams of him becoming a shooter, give it up. Right? Like it's not gonna happen. Like just be okay with the fact that
That's fair.
he's not developing a jump shot. He's not developing like a midi. He's not gonna be a 3 point shooter. He's not gonna space the floor for you. If you can get a decent return on someone like Jared Allen, get like a legitimate star on the wing, like even going into next year, I think that they're gonna be solid for years to come. Look, it's a great place to start where they're at right now.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think they if they do that Allen trade, they just need some big man depth, and yeah,
Yeah.
that might just be it for them.
Damian Jones, baby. All right, cool. Diego, you're up, man. Detroit.
All right, the Detroit Pistons. Kai last year thought that they were gonna be good. They were his surprise.
That's
From
not my
the
fault, man.
huh?
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Cade Cunningham only played 12 games last year. Obviously, that's a huge loss. So yeah, they ended up with the 15th seed, the worst record in the league, a 1765 record, and years prior to that, they only won around 20 games. So it's been a rough few years in Detroit, but that's understandable. They're obviously rebuilding. So because of the young guys that they have on the team, there's actually a lot to look forward to here. So I feel like this year it would be valid for Kai as well to think that the Detroit Pistons would make a little bit of noise. He's shaking his head right now, but
I'm good.
kind
I'm
of
good.
I wouldn't blame you if you thought they were going to be kind of decent.
I'm good.
Yeah, but they also did hire Monty Williams as their new head coach. So hopefully he can turn things around and help grow the young guys on this team. But I think there's really a lot to look forward to here. They obviously have Cade coming back. They have Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duran, Killian Hayes. They got James Wiseman at the deadline last year. Marvin Bagley, one of the they got one of the Thompson twins, and they still have Isaiah Stewart. So I feel like this year is a really good chance for them to just develop these young guys, and I think they're definitely. I mean, obviously, they're going to be better than they were last year. At the very least, I can say that. I
Yeah,
don't think they're going
I
to be
mean,
good at all,
it's a low bar.
but it's it's a very low bar.
It's a really low bar.
But there's really nothing to lose here, right?
Yeah. Like,
There is like 50 plus games.
yeah. Look, if you get a healthy Cade who like you need to see him take a leap, look, Cade's awesome. Cade's a great player. And if you can get him healthy for like a whole year, that's I think that's all you really want out of this season. It's to just see Cade play. But like, I don't know, man. This is 4 years in a row that they draft a guard, right? From Killian Hayes to Cade Cunningham to Jaden Ivey to Sar Thompson. Like, I don't know what the direction this front office wants to move in is. I think that they've just they're throwing shit at a fan and throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks, right? Um, it's a lot of just hoping that something clicks. I don't really like what I saw from Jaden Ivey last year, and now they're not even playing him in the preseason.
Yeah.
I think that Wiseman's just trash. He's not
I
gonna.
think I don't understand why they got James Wiseman last year in the first place, especially when they drafted Jalen Duren, who's actually playing really well.
He'll Jalen Duren's serious. He'll be
Jalen
good.
Duren is a really good player.
He'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So
like, look, their entire team is just young players. I think that I don't know why they haven't traded Bogdanovich. That just blows my mind. Go get something for him. Like he's a solid player. And thing is, like having Bogdanovich on your team is also going to kind of stall the development a lot of like all of your ball handlers because Bojan plays with the ball in his hands for the most part. I don't know why you have him on that team. He doesn't fit. Um, but yeah, I don't see them like becoming a winning team by any stretch of the imagination. I think they'll be the worst team in the East again. Um, like
worse than the Hornets?
yeah, worse than the Hornets. Um, they're dog.
Damn.
They are horrendous. But look, as if you can get a year of healthy Cade Cunningham, if you can see what you actually have there, if you can see if Jaden Ivey is someone legit, if you can figure out a way to play Osler with like those two players, then I think that that's all you're really looking for from this year, right? You're not looking to win. You're looking to see which pieces actually work for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and yeah, just to like quickly talk about the roster, I agree. I don't know where they're headed with this. Uh, I think Monty Williams definitely needs a better roster to work with. I get that they signed him long term, so he knows that this is a project, but at this rate with this kind of roster construction, it looks like it'll forever be a project. So they definitely need to like step in, pick a direction with regards to roster construction. And like I see there is potential with Osser, there is potential with Ivy, even though he wasn't what we thought he'd be last year. There is obviously potential with Cade. It's just find a way to get them to ball out together,
Mhm.
give them some complementary pieces. Like Duran's a good start, but you need better than that. You can't just settle there. You can't settle for James Wiseman. You can't settle for Marvin Bagley. You can't settle
Hey,
for Bogdanovich. Just step up, bro. Just
Yeah.
do better.
Look, they need to figure out who's going to stick and who won't.
Yeah.
The team that is also kind of on that path is our next team up. We've got the Indiana Pacers. So yeah, the way that I look at this team, I think that this team is a lot more primed and a lot more willing to try their hand at contention than a team like the Detroit Pistons or the Charlotte Hornets, right? Like this is a team that was still kind of stuck in their rebuild, just trying to figure out who was going to stick, but they seem to have found that through guys like Tyrese Halliburton, who I think could be a top 4 point guard in the league next season, who could lead the league in assists. I think that with Miles Turner, who they could either use as like the center of the future or like the next few years, or use him as a trade piece. With guys like Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nemhard, great depth additions who put up serious numbers for them in good usage for them last season, just as rookies. I think that they've got a team that is ready to hopefully take that next step and figure out how to contend. Like they were buyers this year at the deadline, like over the summer. They acquired Obi Toppin from the New York Knicks, who were just trying to offload him so that they didn't have to pay him. They acquired Bruce Brown from the championship winning Denver Nuggets. And I think that they're really figuring out an identity for where they want to go from here and a path towards contention. This is going to be one of the best full court offenses in the entire league with the additions of Toppin and Brown and Jarris Walker, who they drafted. They're grabbing guys who fit alongside Halliburton's skill set, I think, perfectly. in their first preseason game against the Memphis Grizzlies, even without Halliburton, they had 24 fast break points against one of the better fast break defenses in the Memphis Grizzlies. So I think that they understand where they want to go. I think that they think that they're ready to take the next step. But they've got years to figure it out. With Halliburton inked to his rookie extension, which they did this summer, I think that they're primed to roll with this core for the long haul, and I think that they've got a good core to roll with for the long haul.
Yeah, like you mentioned their off-season signings. I also like the addition of Ben Shepherd, who was a late pick in the first round for them. Solid 4-year guy, and who can contribute immediately off the bench. He can shoot. Like, he was impressive in their first two preseason games too. So I like that addition. And a la- I think they're definitely a playing team. Maybe might sneak into the playoffs. Who knows? I definitely like what Bruce Brown brings to the table. Sure, the Nuggets can survive without him. They were just that dominant. But I think what Bruce Brown is going to bring, I'm excited to see, because he's going to start now, right? Like, we saw what he was doing for the Nets when he was starting for them. Like, now he's going to do it for a younger team, so he's probably going to be asked to be a bit more of a leader. Let's see how he does that. But yeah, this is a fun team, with Tyrese definitely looking to take that jump as the leader of the team, as the lead guard of the team, and as one of the better point guards in the league, even. So I would be disappointed if they finish anywhere below ninth. Like, I would say they should finish eighth at least, with the talent that they have in their hands.
But if they don't make the playoffs, will that be disappointment for you?
Man, we had this conversation on like the hot seat thing. I think that yes, I think that they still absolutely want to be in a playoff spot. I think that they're one of those teams that looks like primed to kind of get into the playoffs and have like that step, that jump that we've seen teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, or the Sacramento Kings, or the New Orleans Pelicans in years past kind of take, where they get into that playoffs, they get into the playoffs, they understand what it's like to lose in the first round, but they understand what it's like to be there, and we see them take that jump. And I think that again, they think that they're ready for that. And I look at their roster and like I think that it's built well around Halliburton. This is a guy who I think could genuinely finish All NBA this season. He could have led the league in assists last year. He finished with 10.4 a game, which was zero point 0.3 behind James Harden, but didn't actually qualify for any of like the season leaders awards because he ended up sitting for most of the end of the year as they switched into tanking mode. Um, like this is a team that looks at Halliburton and looks at him as a star that is ready to help them take that next step. And man, he looks like he's ready for it too. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, who we got? We got Miami. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go. Let's get it.
Okay. So last season, Miami finished in one of the play-in spots, made it through that, and went all the way to the finals. This time, they will definitely not be a playing team. But by only virtue of the East just becoming more top heavy and the rest becoming a bit more worse. That is the only reason why they won't be back in the plane. So I think I think their roster as of now is the sixth best, but that's their floor, right? With Jimmy, with Spo at the helm, you can never predict the ceiling for this team. But I think the floor, yeah, that's like the sixth best team in the league. I don't expect them to make much noise in the regular season, uh, like they usually do, because they lost two important guys in Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, and they didn't bother replacing them. Like, sure, Josh Richardson, uh he's decent, but I like that Strus and Vincent were part of the whole team, right? They were part of that whole Heat culture. They were with the team for a few years. Josh Richardson, he was part of the team a few years ago, but again, you're bringing a new guy into the fold. You're expecting Jovic to take a jump, and you didn't trust the guy last year either. He played 15 games in the regular season, so uh, if he can continue off the FIBA momentum, yeah, that'll be a promising catch and shoot guy off the bench for them. But yeah, I don't like the roster. Uh, I won't be surprised if they outdo their expectations. Nobody will, but it's sad that a team goes to the finals and then takes a step back. I get that they were waiting on the whole Dame trade to solve the whole team issues, but I it sucks that they didn't have a backup. So now they just have, I guess they have a motivated Tyler Hero now.
Yeah, to base like your entire offseason hopes on signing or like on trading for a superstar, I think is always just one of the flaws of the big market teams. Like, boy, you better pull it off. You better have a backup plan, but they clearly don't. I do like Jaquez. I am it's hard for me to not trust Miami to turn someone like Jovic into something legit. Um, it's just what they do. And same with Richardson. Like the last time he was like really great was on Miami. I I like Orlando Robinson. That guy looks big. He looks tough. Cole Swider, former Laker, looked pretty solid for
Oh
them in the
my god.
Hornets game. But again, it's hard to base anything off of a Hornets preseason game. I think that Miami is just it's that team that they'll figure it out. You know, like Struess probably wasn't as good as we actually saw him last year, but somehow it's just what Miami does. Caleb Barton is probably in line for a bigger role with this team, and it seems that he's ready to take it. Um, I just I have a hard time not believing in Miami at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it's earned Miami's earned just such a great reputation for guys really stepping up. Guys you don't expect to step up to just step up. And that's exactly what happened in the playoffs last year. I mean, their roster definitely 100% got worse, but I think there is still a chance they could, exceed expectations, even though the expectations are pretty low right now. But yeah, I feel like if you still have Jimmy Butler and Bam, I feel like they could still play really well in the playoffs and they could still lead this team. I don't think they'll get to the finals. Like I absolutely don't think they can get to the finals with this roster. But if they do make it to the Eastern Conference Finals somehow, I wouldn't be too shocked.
It's just what they do. It's just what they do, man. Yeah.
Again, yeah, Hawkes looks incredible.
Jaquez is nice, man. That boy's got hops. Like you look at him and it's like that guy doesn't look like he'd be that athletic, but damn, dude flies off the screen. It's really impressive. And like, look, I don't know. They'll figure out how to use Haywood Highsmith. Thomas Bryant looked like a hooper in that game against the Hornets. Like, they'll figure it out, man. It's just what they do.
Yeah, I think
Thomas
for the
Bryant.
regular season, especially Thomas Bryant is a great addition. Like in the regular season, he can be a force off the bench like he was for the Lakers, but there's no way he cracks the playoff rotation. Like that, he's just not a yeah. He's a
He's-
defensive liability.
yeah, no question. He's definitely not that guy come playoff time. All right, Diego, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. We've been talking so much about Milwaukee in the last few weeks, man. There's honestly not too much to say. They're the biggest winners of the offseason. Giannis is really the biggest winner of the offseason. After basically saying that he could potentially leave the Bucks, and then the Milwaukee Bucks decide to go and get Damian Lillard to the roster. Obviously, they lost Drew Holiday, but Dame is literally a generational offensive talent, so he more than makes up for the defensive loss that they got in Drew Holiday. They're not a perfect team, right? They're obviously not young. Their core is aging. They lost a lot of depth. Their bench is a little bit mediocre, but their starting lineup is just so damn good. And the potential of like just imagining Dame and Giannis playing together just seems like, an NBA fan's dream. Like it's hard to not it's hard to imagine them not working out. So this is a definition of a championship or bust team. And I also think that, firing Coach Bud and replacing him with Adrian Griffin could also be a very good move for them. So yeah, this is a championship or bust team, and I do think this team is going to win the championship this year.
Ooh.
Buddy, premature. But yeah, it's hard to not agree with that, right? Like we haven't even seen it yet. And I already know that it's going to be the most unstoppable play call in the entire league whenever Dame and Giannis set up for a pick and roll. I can't imagine how you defend it. There's this one picture that kind of went like pretty viral online comparing how defenders pick up both Giannis or Dame. And it's like when a team tries to pick up Dame on defense, you're almost at the half court line. And when a team picks up Giannis on defense, they're setting up three guys inside the paint. You can't do both. You can't. Like I don't know what you do against this team. And then they've still got all the shooters along the perimeter to best complement this absolutely unstoppable play call that they can go for legitimately every single time that they're on offense. Right? Like when you've
He
got Brook
literally
Lopez.
explained it himself. Like
Yeah.
that exact situation, he explained it himself.
There's nothing you can do.
This is an unstoppable duo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like about their coaching, I wish they hired somebody more experienced. I like Adrian Griffin as a coach. Like he seems like a good, promising guy, but y- you're there's a lot of expectations for him now that Dame's also here, right? Like we talked about this earlier. I think I don't know if I trust him to take this team to the promised land. I I I guess there's not much to do when you have generational talents like Giannis and Dame, but there's still like stuff you because the other coaches like Eric Spoelstra, you have guys who are like absolute wizards there, so you can't be out coached. So if
Hey,
if their coaching battle is what decides uh them not winning a championship, I think that's just gonna be awful.
look, if you can win a title with Budenholzer, I think you can win a title with Griffin and a better roster. They've also got Terry Stotts, baby. Terry Stotts coming off the bench as an assistant coach. Already knows how to work with Dame. We're good. I'm okay with their coaching staff. I think that they're kind of solid. Adrian Griffin's obviously got that championship acumen from his time in Toronto. And the Nick Nurse coaching tree has been pretty solid so far. I like what Chris Finch does. So who am I to not believe in Adrian Griffin?
I think you'd have to be a really bad coach to not make, the Giannis and Dame
Yeah.
duo work.
Yeah, it seems pretty easy, man.
It's simple basketball.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
We're good.
And we still have I guess, 1 or 2 good years of Brook Lopez left.
Yay.
And we still
Chris,
have Chris Middleton, who can turn into prime Michael Jordan at any moment on the team. So yeah, this if they just really need this year to work out. That's all I'm gonna say.
mhm,
Because Dame could be out the window, Giannis could be out the window if this doesn't. So
yeah, I'd expect it to work. I have a hard time believing this doesn't. All right. New York. How about this? So we were just talking about Chris Middleton and how he can go from like prime Michael Jordan to prime Dylan Brooks from game to game. Yeah, the New York Knicks are an entire team that kind of just does that, right? We saw them 3 seasons ago have a run to the playoffs that I don't think anybody expected. Like, yeah, they flamed out against the Atlanta Hawks in 5. It was an embarrassing look. Trey Young destroyed the hearts of New York fans in MSG. It was really brutal to watch. He became the villain that has ultimately just become the most hated person in New York. Um, but it was a massive run. It was huge that they actually even made the playoffs as like a what 4 seed. Huge. The next year they completely fell off the map. They stunk. Okay, it was an embarrassing year. Coach Tibbs, I don't know how he survived the year. I couldn't believe my eyes to go from 4 seed to missing the playoffs. I don't know how you survived that as a coach. Good for him. Toughed it out. Last year was a complete and utter return to form for this team, right? They acquired Jalen Brunson. Julius Randle stopped being garbage. RJ Barrett was survivable. Emmanuel quickly turned into, I think, the best backup point guard in the league. Quentin Grimes turned into a really, really solid defensive presence at the wing. Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein were an incredibly like stable center tandem, and they were back at the playoffs. Like they made it again. They got past the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. They got cooked by Miami, but that's okay. I worry that we're going to see them transform into maybe the shell of themselves that we saw 2 seasons ago. Julius Randle looked really shaky in the playoffs again. He's clearly not made for the moment. RJ Barrett, I still just have a hard time trusting him. He didn't look that good at the FIBA World Cup. He looked solid for a couple games in the playoffs, but for the most part, he's not a guy that you can really trust to knock down the shot from the perimeter. You can't trust him to knock down his free throws either. But I think that the thing that'll stave off that potential, I guess, fall back to abhorrence is Jalen Brunson. Like he's a stabilizing presence. He's exactly what they needed. They're building the team around him. They're getting the vibes guys around him. Every single Villanova boy is back. Ryan Arcidiacono, Dante DiVincenzo signed in the offseason. Josh Hart given an extension. Jalen Brunson. Villanova's back. So I think that they've got a more stable core that hopefully prevents them falling back to really just meaninglessness. Um, but I don't know. This team isn't ready to contend. There's no real superstar there. Um, I don't know. It's a confusing squad. I don't see them going anywhere past the East, like the second round in the playoffs. I barely see them getting past the first round. They'll have to make a move for a superstar, and obviously New York always thinks they can. But what they move for a superstar, who knows? They're a good team, but they're not good.
See, I think if they do what they did last season, that's going to be a success. And I think they did make a couple of moves, like signing Dante DiVincenzo. I think I like the addition of Nathan Knight too. He was solid for the Timberwolves when they actually gave him a chance. So I'm eager to see what he can bring to the team now that they lost Obi Toppin. I think the roster's solid. Sure, they're not good enough to win it all. Yeah, but I think because the East got worse, I wouldn't be surprised if I see them win 50 games. They won 47 last season. So I think they can win 3 more? Yeah, of course. Do I expect them to be back in the semifinals? No, but they could be, and if they do that, that'd be a success. And I don't think they should be expecting anything more than that.
I'm just not sure what to expect from Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Really, that's the big question mark here. Because if Randle, realistically, if he played as well as he did in the regular season, like in the playoffs, I feel like they would have been a completely different team, and they could have beat Miami. They could have beat Miami, but yeah, again, Julius Randle always just manages to take a step back in the playoffs. So at this point, maybe you have to move on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm unimpressed by the Knicks, right? Like I love the Knicks. I'm easily the biggest Knicks homer for some reason on this podcast. I have
It's
no
just,
idea what has spurned my
it's
love for this team.
you just love New York.
Yeah, I love New York, baby. City's so nice they named it twice. But
Yo.
that's my squad. But I don't know. I'm not impressed, but I'm not disappointed, right? Like it's I think Aaron, you're right. They just need that stability. They just need to
Yeah.
find a formula that works until they trade for a superstar.
Yeah, I see. They had luck when they went for a former Pelicans power forward. I think they should try that again.
I know that's right. Zion, come here. Come home.
Oh my
We
Come
want you.
home.
We love you here.
We
I said what I said, man.
here,
We love you here.
here
We
in
love
Canada.
you. No, man. New York, baby. It's in my heart. Imported in
brother,
my
you
heart.
are in York at best, not New York.
With some respect. All right.
Aaron Matthew banger right there.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Orlando Magic. Aaron Matthew, you're up, buddy.
Okay. Uh the I know Disney owns the team, which is probably why their front office is just a bunch of cartoons. Like I don't get what this team is doing. You have the sixth pick and the 11th pick, and you draft guys like I like Anthony Black as a player. I think he's talented. Jet Howard, make it make sense. I don't know what you're doing. And like I like the players on the roster, right? Like Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. even all great individually, but as a roster, I don't know where they're going with this. They had a resurgence season last year, and then they decided to add Anthony Black right like a season after uh, they had drafted Suggs, couple of seasons. So like what are you trying to do here? You could have there were so many better players that fit your roster better, I mean. So I this seems like a very Indiana Pacers, like former Indiana Pacers situation where they're just settling for that perennial lottery position. I don't think they're getting past that hump this year at least, and unless Jonathan Isaac looks like what he did a few years ago. But yeah, I am absolutely not convinced by this team. It's not like their coach can spring up a miracle because it's just Jamal Mosley at the end of the day. So I I don't know what to expect but mediocrity from this team.
So originally we had
Yeah.
Mike. We had Mike doing the Orlando Magic, and I know he would have given a very different speech. That dude is
Yeah.
riding high on the Magic, and I don't know. I think I'm definitely in between the full on like, yo, this is the new Pacers. I think that the Boncaro's legit. Like, I think that they actually have a superstar in the making in Boncaro, and I think that Franz is going to be a great Robin to him. Obviously, I'm intrigued to see how it works out, and I do think that you're right. Like, they need a better point guard or like a better shooting guard, a better shooter than Jet Howard. Buddy, you could have had Grady Dick. They need to flesh out the roster a little bit better around those two because those two are the future of this organization. And if they take a next step, if they take another step and actually prove that they can be legitimate pieces for the future, like, bro, ESPN already had Boncaro rated as like the 30th best player in the league. First of all, chill,
Which is outrageous, by the way.
relax,
I couldn't
relax.
believe what I saw.
Buddy shot like 20% from three. Let's calm down. But I think I don't know. I look at those two and I feel like that's all I really need to see to know that this team is moving in, I think, the right direction. Um, Boncaro's, I think he'll still be a star, right? Like, I think that his ceiling is absolutely like an all star at the very least, or like his floor for like the rest of his career is an all star at the very least. So, as long as you have those two on your roster and Franz Wagner and Paulo Boncaro, look, they're young. You've got time. Don't worry too much. Just don't draft like idiots. Like, stop wasting picks. Yeah, I don't mind. I think that they should contend for like the final play-in or playoff spot this year. But don't expect more from them than that.
That's the thing. That's still a maybe, and like I wouldn't really bet on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just gonna depend on how they build around Bankero and Wagner because yeah, those are the those are the two guys you want to build around. And as long as they can successfully do that, then they have a bright future ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both what both of y'all just said about Banquero and Wagner being like potential stars in the making. There's nothing to disagree about that. It's what is around them is what is going to concern me. Is That's what is concerning me now.
Yeah.
And okay, it just clicked why Mike is high on this team, because he saw a team absolutely waste two lottery picks and then win a title in the same season. So I think I see the similarities.
No, you might be right. I didn't think about.
He's spitting. I can't believe it, man. Anthony Black is the new James Wiseman. So up right now. All right, cool. Let's move on. What's next? 1 second. Sorry. You can
Philly,
cut this. Philadelphia. Diego,
Philly,
buddy.
Philly. Oh man, I think there's obviously two ways to preview the Sixers. Right. So James Harden. James Harden is the story. He is the headline here. Uh, yeah. So one way to look at the Sixers is how they move forward without Harden, and without Harden, this team is not a contender. This team is far from it, honestly. And even though they did get Nick Nurse to replace Doc Rivers, it, I don't know. Embiid can only take you so far, and even then, Embiid still hasn't gotten out of the second round. The Sixers haven't gotten out of the second round. So even with their new additions like Pat Bev and Tyrese Maxey potentially stepping up and playing a bigger role, I don't know. This Sixers team is going to be pretty mid, honestly. And with Harden, that's a that's a completely different story. Like I still don't believe in them to win a championship, especially with the Bucks and Celtics being so good right now. But obviously, the hope is still there. There will still be people who can believe in this team to win it all, even though they've fallen short so many times. In last year's season preview, everyone was so high on the Sixers. Everybody was so high on the Sixers. I think we, I think most of us had the Sixers as the first seed,
I
right?
wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I picked them for the
Most of us
finals.
had
So
them for the first seed, and yeah, picked them making the finals, potentially winning the championship, and obviously they got bounced in the second round yet again. So I mean, with Harden and Embiid consistently falling short in the playoffs, it's we don't really know how well the Sixers team can go, how far the Sixers team can go. So there,
I think,
again,
yeah.
with Harden maybe being there or maybe not being there, because I don't know, the latest news has have him actually showing up to camp with a great attitude. Tobias Harris speaking up for him. Obviously, I don't think it means anything because at the end of the day, he doesn't have a choice, right? If Harden wants to be moved, he has to at least show that he can still be part of the team and not be like a toxic member of the group. So, which he already is.
I think we know that he is. I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think he needs to. I don't think any amount of proving he can still be a team player is gonna
but
fix
he
that at
doesn't
this
really have a
point.
choice here. Like he has to pretty much still play for the Sixers because no team.
Nah.
I don't think,
Nah.
I don't think any team is picking him up.
Nah.
There's been so many rumors of the Clippers potentially getting him because obviously he wants to be sent to the Clippers, but it just hasn't happened yet, and it's
He's
not really
not playing. He's
it's
not
not
playing
picking
a.
up.
He's not playing a minute for the Sixers, man. I don't care. He'll sit it out. He'll incur those fines. He incurred fines for media day already. I do not expect him to suit up for this team. I don't think that. Look, if I was in Maury's position, I'm sorry. I'm not taking the high road, bro. You really disrespect me like that? You go to China and you say it twice?
You go to a club and
You go to a
you
club
get
and you get him
are
stay
putting up
there. Like, no,
the same thing.
he's not playing for the Sixers, man. We know this. This
So
is known.
I doubt it too. I just don't think he has a choice at this point.
This is known.
Like as what's his name? Matt Barnes. As Matt Barnes said, like the NBA doesn't need him anymore. Right? Like he's a guy who's all for player empowerment. Well, Harden's been doing this year after year, franchise after franchise, and at the same, it's just getting tiring. Like I'm pretty sure franchises are getting sick of it, are getting sick of hearing about it. Fans are getting sick of hearing about it. Like Harden really doesn't have much leverage here.
Yeah. Uh, all I'm gonna say is, I I know Philly fans are grateful for the Phillies and the Eagles because the Sixers are not a serious team.
No.
The other two are like Embiid said he's not worried about the other like the Celtics and the Bucks making moves. Buddy, who are you lying to? Like, come on, you were worse than those two before they got better, and they just got even more better now. So what are you like lying to yourself for?
Yeah,
I
and
don't, and I don't think.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, like Embiid. Embiid is the only guy who's won MVP, has been in MVP conversations, but constantly gets the pass for not being able to win two playoff series in a row. So until when does that continue? Like they made a good coaching change, but that's about it. Like this team's not going anywhere.
Hey, maybe he'll win two series or two playoff rounds in a row when he plays for Team USA. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, bro, they lost the winningest player of the 2020s in Niang. So what are they gonna do, man? Look, I like the Kelly Oubre signing was pretty solid, I guess. But there's question marks all over this roster. You're gonna need Maxi to take that next step, and it's too bad because Maxi is at his best when Harden is playing, when he has an actual point guard to set the table for him. Maxi is incredible off ball. One of the best off ball players in the league because he's fast. He cuts incredibly well. He's a great catch and shoot player. And now, without the ball in Harden's hands, without a legitimate point guard to set the table, I don't think that we're going to see the next step from Maxi that we're really hoping to see because that's just not where his strengths lie. He should be playing off ball. And I'm not expecting Embiid to become Jokic here. He's not going to become that playmaker. This team's going nowhere, bro. They are lost. And there's just nothing good about the vibes surrounding the Philadelphia 76ers. I would not be shocked if this team is going to finish like sixth or seventh in the Eastern Conference. This team is nowhere close to sniffing the top end of this conference. Nowhere close. Harden will not
Mm,
play. He will not play for this team. Maxi is best when Harden's there. Embiid's best when Harden's there. We're going to see both those guys take a step back. You really expect Tobias Harris to be that guy? He won't be. PJ Tucker's getting older and was completely useless last year. Let's be freaking for real about that. Pat Bev's not bringing you anything, bro. He'll bring you a play and win. That's it. This team's done. They're done. Philly's cooked. Bye bye. Night night.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
I
hope
only
here is
blame.
literally to hope that Maxi actually develops into a star,
Not
which
happening.
is unlikely, but that's the only thing they can really hope for at this point.
No, this team is unequivocally worse than last year, and last year they weren't good enough either. That's it.
We thought
Yeah,
And there's no path for them to get better this season. None. It's done.
they had their chances. Like you had Dame, you had Drew Holiday. Sure, Dame. You probably didn't have as good of an offer as the Bucks did, but the fact that they did not go for Drew Holiday is like is just on Maury. Like I hate that he only goes for trades where he can look like he won the trade, and that's the reason why they weren't in the sweepstakes. Is at least what it looks like from the outside. And yeah, like he didn't try to make the team better. He didn't try to get that toxic player out of the team quickly. So it's on him, and Yeah, sorry, Sixers fans.
Nah, whatever, man. Hold that. All right. Yo, I'm hyped up now. I've got energy. You know I love talking bad about the Sixers. I'm here to talk good about my team now. All right? Not the Knicks. That's what you thought. Not the Kings either. Talking about the real contenders here. The Toronto Raptors, bro. All I needed to see, all I needed to see was one half of basketball. Okay. The second half, whatever, bro. They kind of stunk it up in the fourth quarter. Who cares, bro? I'm not here to watch Javon Freeman Liberty. I'm not here to watch Marquise Noel. That guy's not for real. He's 5'8". Everybody thinks he's the next Fred Van Vliet. Be for real. Okay? Not the point. What I saw in the first half of basketball from the Toronto Raptors was a real team. It was a team that I believed in. It was a team that can make some noise. This team looks energetic. They look happy to play together. They're moving the ball well. Like Scotty Barnes actually looks like he could be that guy. He had a better shot. They were getting better looks for him. They weren't crowding him with sets that are usually run for Pascal. They were actually spacing the floor properly. Gary Trent Jr. was knocking down shots. Dennis Schroeder was moving the ball. Jakob Poeltl looked steady on defense. I was more than impressed with what I saw from the Toronto Raptors. And I know I'm buying into a lot of I'm buying into one half of basketball in the preseason. I know, but I think that this team has just I think I've been underrating them. I don't know how, but I think I've just been underrating them this whole time, right? Like they still have a top 25, I'd say, player in the NBA in Pascal Siakam. They still have a guy who was like contending for legitimately an all NBA spot last season. They still have a guy in OG Anunoby who could be all defense. They still have a guy who was rookie of the year 2 seasons ago. So like I genuinely think that like I went into this season without any expectations. I thought they were gonna suck. I thought that Masai had made all the wrong moves. I still think he did. This team could be a lot better than what it is now, no question. But I think that this team could also surprise. It looked like it worked in that first preseason game. It looked like it all fit together, like it gelled. They understood how they wanted to play. They actually had an identity. And if they have an identity, I think that it could be fun. It could be a fun season in what I thought would just be an absolute drag. And I'm more excited than I've ever been, or than I've been in the past year, I think, for the Toronto Raptors. So take that as you will.
Spoken like a true Delulu Toronto sports fan.
I'm here.
I can't believe what I just heard.
I'm back.
I I'm lost for words if I'm honest.
See, this is exactly how they get butts into their seats year after year, because at the start of the season they convince fans that another season of mediocrity is not coming. uh, at least at the start, that's what they make it look like, but no, it's like the East got worse, but you're still not part of the top 6 best teams. Maybe 7 even. So what are you going to do? Like you get swept again in the first round
Yeah.
at best, and you go home happy with that result, celebrate Masai as the best front office executive, and repeat. Come on, bro. There's only so many times you can convince yourself. Like, I get it. Maybe I'm a newcomer to the city, so I don't have the same perspective as you. Like, I didn't see the team win in 2019, but come on, like, who are you kidding? Like, I get you're trying to cope here, but no, this
Drink the
team.
Kool-Aid, bro. Come on.
No,
Join in. Have fun. Enjoy the city.
I enjoyed the
Enjoy this team.
Raptors. I enjoyed the Raptors versus Kings game.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, if Scotty Barnes actually takes the step that he damn should make. Like if I'm being legitimate about where this team stands, it does hinge on the shoulders of Scotty Barnes, right? And
Yeah.
You have to go into this as like I think any Raptors fan, any sane Raptors fan, any like non-defeatist Raptors fan needs to look at this as like, you know what? If Scotty Barnes can take the step that you kind of expect a former rookie of the year to make, a guy going into his third year to make, they can be plucky, right? Like this isn't a team that's going to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Like they shouldn't make the second round, right? But it's not going to be an easy out, I think, in any game with this Raptors team. And that's all I really want to see. Just fight every single night. Like, don't look like crap. Don't look like a boring basketball team. And that's what I saw in, like, I know it's a preseason freaking game. It's a half of a preseason game, but it looked like a team that didn't want to give up, that wanted to play entertaining basketball for once. And again, like if Scotty takes the step, I think that there's legitimacy behind the claims that I'm making.
Yeah, and yeah, I think it almost goes entirely onto Scotty because none of this changes the fact that this is still a directionless team right now.
Hey,
That's the problem. This is still directionless. Like we don't know where Messiah is going with this whole thing. Like the the more we go forward into this, I feel like the more they're gonna regret, not blowing it up last year. Because like getting back Yak at the deadline was like a really confusing move that just left pretty much all of us scratching our heads because why?
because we're running the offense through Yak now, bro. He's like Jokic.
I yacked at the thought of that.
Oh
Mm.
I'm
man,
back.
that was something.
Messiah, I'm back. That's it. I'm good. I'm look,
Love
look,
Messiah as a person.
enjoy it while it lasts, man.
Uh,
Enjoy the fun
yeah,
of like
that's all you can do now. Like at least I think this team could be fun, and
yeah,
I like the vibes that I got from that one preseason game.
that's right.
Yeah, maybe I'll tune in, go to a couple Raptors games. Maybe it'll be fun. But yeah, this franchise isn't winning anything anytime soon.
Hey, in season tournament title.
Yeah,
That's what
let's.
we're playing for this year.
I am a big Scotty believer,
That's what
and
we're playing
I
for.
stand by that. Yeah. Scotty will get me in those seats.
I know that's right. All right, let's move on before I go a
Burst
little bit
into
more.
tears.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm a happy camper, man. Let's get depressing. Let's talk about a horrendous team. Aaron, buddy, you want to talk about Washington?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. The Washington Wizards finally decided to hit the brakes on the repetitive mediocrity that they were putting out year after year, and they look like they want to hit the reset button. They want to start over, and it's good that they finally realized that it needed to happen. And they made a couple of good moves after that too, like bringing in Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, bringing in Tyus Jones was a great move. Gallinari not so much, but I still like the other moves. Not the biggest fan of the Bilal Koulibaly draft pick. Like I I get that they wanted a project. They wanted a guy for the future, but I think it also means that they've given up on Denny, and that's sad because I absolutely love Denny. He's my guy, and I I
We
don't know,
know.
man. When he came into the league as an offensive stud, I was happy, and now he's just like a defensive stopper. They're they're limiting him. But anyway, I think this team they're primed to finish 13th or 14th. I think we're gonna have an amazing and inefficient season from both Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, who got the bag this offseason. It's just going to be them absolutely balling out, wearing those absolutely amazing cherry blossom jerseys, hopefully. And that's about it. This is going to be another vibes team this year. There's nothing to expect from this team for at least this year and next year. It sucks that this is a rebuilding team with no piece that you can look like as that looks like a future star. Like I'm not believing that Jordan Poole is a star. So whatever, it's better than watching Bradley Beal win you 35 games, I guess.
And that's what we're all happy about. Like, thank God the Wizards finally moved on from Bradley Beal. I mean, to be fair, Bradley Beal was the one who also wanted to stay, but my goodness, that felt like that felt like it was my whole lifetime. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
We it seemed like just such a lost franchise, and I mean they still kind of are, but at least they can start rebuilding now. Like,
Yeah, but you
sure, they
see what
don't
they
have
did,
promising young pieces, but it's better to move on sooner rather than even later.
bro. Look what they did to that Australian team the other day, though, eh?
Oh yeah,
Holy
body.
63-point win. That's a serious team right there.
Wait, wasn't that a New Zealand team?
Yeah, but it's MBL, bro. Same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing. Don't try to take this away from
I'm
me.
just saying.
Yo, Johnny Davis looked like a serious player. No,
Never ever say that again.
yeah, I've never believed in Johnny Davis. I want to make that clear, and I still don't. I absolutely do not. Um,
Crazy you
but
started off with that.
yeah, no, I mean, look, this team's gonna suck. Like this team's just full of chuckers. But I think it'll. I don't know. Like I really went into this like telling myself like I don't think I'll watch a single Wizards game this year. But Jordan Poole could be fun. I think
Yo,
I I
Jordan
think
Poole could
it'll be
average
fun.
25 plus.
I
That
think
would be
that
fun. That would be fun. I
dude,
agree.
he could average 30 a night. Like legit. He could. I was listening to the game theory podcast from the Athletic, and like Sam Vecini was like, you know what? Like I think that there's a world where Jordan Poole gets better looks this year. Right? Like he's still going to be defended by like the same guys basically because like when even when he was with the Warriors, he was for the most part, especially when he was like on the bench unit, running the bench unit, he was defending, he was being defended by like the primary defender on the other team because he was still an offensive dynamo and he's still going to be facing that with the Wizards. But this time, as opposed to his time with the Warriors, this team is actually going to be running sets for him. So we could see his like numbers go up. We could see him take better shots this year. Right? Like I think that there's the ceiling's really low on this team, but I think the ceiling for what Jordan Poole could get in an offense that's being entirely kind of run for him is pretty high. Is pretty high, and I'm excited to see that at the very least.
Well, the thing I'm worried about is how Poole played off the bench. I mean, on how Poole played as a replacement of Steph Curry. Because if you compare it to the offense that the Warriors had with Steph Curry on the court, it was obviously it's going to be one of the best offenses in the league. But when you replace Steph with Poole, which we saw countless times, either off the bench or replacing an injured Steph Curry, the offense was terrible, just awful. And they would run someplace for Jordan Poole, but it still wasn't good.
Yeah, it's still gonna
Yeah,
suck. I'm not saying it's not gonna be garbage, but he's gonna score like 30 a night.
he could, he could. Obviously, I'm not doubting that he could. It's going to be really inefficient, but he definitely could.
Yeah, and he's also going to be playing alongside a real point guard in Tyus Jones, who's out there to set up for his teammates, not like Steph, who's a score first guard. So
Yeah, I, it's not gonna be a fun watch. I don't
no,
think
Hey, if I can watch Jordan Poole drop 30, I think that's pretty fun.
it'll be something. It'll be interesting. It'll
Hey,
be interesting.
Jordan Poole, a smooth 29 points a game, and Kyle
Yeah.
Kuzma maybe like 24, 25. No, that's watchable. I think that's watchable.
It'll be all
Okay.
right.
Co- Jordan Poole's nickname by the end of the season is going to be ESPN because he's going to be delivering 30 on 30s.
That was pretty good. That was a banger, actually.
There, bro.
That was sick. I think we should end the show there.
Okay.
I mean, we were gonna end the show anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks to whoever stuck around to listen to us talk about the Washington Wizards of all teams.
No,
Jesus
I respect
Christ.
it. I respect it.
What the heck,
We
man?
appreciate you.
I hope this is the only time we talk about the Wizards this year.
Not when Jordan Poole drops 60.
I'm good.
We'll talk about the
We'll
Wizards.
bring it up.
I promise you we're talking about the Wizards when Jordan Poole
I'm
drops
I'm
60.
not digging into it. I'm not watching that game.
You'll have one game.
Um,
One game.
I'm good. I got
We'll
better.
give the Wizards one game.
I'll watch the games that they play against the Raptors. My team. They're so up right now, bro. We're so up right now. We're so back.
Okay.
Just like my
I've heard it.
Leafs. What a time to be a Toronto sports fan. I don't even remember our baseball team that lost.
Go Leafs, go.
Go Leafs, go, baby. Leafs forever. All right. Really, I'm glad we came full circle here. Long episode today. How we feeling, guys?
It's pretty tired.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
There's
I'm getting
a
it.
lot of waffling. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. We did a lot of yapping there about like the Sixers and the Raptors at the end. I don't know, man. Um, that's how it goes. We're just a very passionate trio. Okay.
Yeah.
Just very passionate about the Raptors and Philadelphia 76ers. Anyways, that's all we got. That's all we got. Next week we will be doing the Western Conference. We'll try to keep it maybe a little bit more concise, but dang, that conference is deep. That conference is talented. We'll see. But yeah, we will be doing our Western Conference previews after that. And then the next episode, we will be doing our season predictions. So our award predictions, who we think will be in the finals, all that fun stuff. So make sure you tune in. Got a lot of content coming your way soon. Thank you to all who are watching on all of our various platforms. Thank you to those on YouTube, waving hello to you right now. To those on Spotify, thank you so much for following, for subscribing. Please rate, review, check out our social media platforms for more content at the Kickout on Instagram and Twitter. Signing off for the most beautiful, wonderful minds in the basketball media landscape today. Aaron Matthew, Diego San Agustin, and Michael Anthony Cruz. I am Kai Gamage. Boys, it's been a slice.